What's going on? Welcome to Unlocking Your Inner Strength. In these episodes, I share with you insights and inspirations that have come to me on my path in life, and hopefully they can be a welcome hand of guidance as you move along your journey. I teach because I'm passionate about my message. I teach because it helps me to learn more deeply. Thanks for sharing a few minutes of your time with me for this week's episode, and without further ado, here is this week's show. Hey everybody, time for another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength, brought to you from the parking lot of Braxton School. So this hat, some of you may have seen me post about it. We went to the Columbus Flea Market and we picked up the kids from my parents about halfway between where they live at the shore and our house. Really interesting place, Columbus Flea Market. And it was funny, we pull up and Emma had on snow boots and a bathing suit and like a zip-up jacket. And I said, man, Emma, you fit right in at this place. I mean, there's a lot of characters there. Really interesting place. Highly recommend going. My type of place. That's where I got this beauty, the Mexico hat, right at the end, too. And it just caught my eye. And it was just a nice hat. You know, so you never know where you're going to find stuff that kind of resonates with you. Today, I want to talk about things that I'll be teaching, not as far as brain structures, okay, but I'll be teaching these in the mental verse, the first mind map mental verse course in November. And this stuff is very relevant to what is going on nowadays, right? You got a lot of chaos going on in the world, and let me put it this way. I saw through the BS since 2 months before this even started, going back to March of 2020. All right, and Devin can confirm that with you and some of my close friends. So there's a couple things I want you to be aware of, though, because I believe with the brain and the mind, when you recognize patterns, you can catch yourself and get out of them much quicker to serve yourself so you can move forward. We don't want the brain to get stuck. We don't want to be in freeze mode, right, in paralysis mode. We don't want that. You want to be able to thrive, whatever the circumstance or situation is in life. Now, you have something, and I'll relate this to what's going on now, and let's say I'll relate some of it to fitness and nutrition so you can connect the dots. 3 things I want to go over: normalcy bias, cognitive dissonance, and the sunk cost fallacy. Normalcy bias. This is your disbelief or wanting to minimize new threats or warnings. So again, everything going on in the world right now, and I don't even have to name the stuff, right? Because that's how you get censored. Then the word can't get out there. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of people still, and I hear people say this, and I think more people are catching on, things are going to get back to normal. Let's just wait till things open up and get back to normal. Things are not going back to normal the way they were before. And if you think they are, you're out of your mind. You might as well go live on another planet, because things are not going back to the way they were in 2018 or 19. With that said, and I'll give you the upshot of all this stuff at the end, that doesn't mean things can't be better in the future. Not the immediate future. It's going to be a while. But the normalcy bias keeps people on their heels, keeps people from speaking up, keeps people from taking action. They just kind of sit back and take whatever's given to them. So, if I'm just a good little boy or girl, things will go back to normal. If I just comply, things will go back to normal. It's not how it works. So that's normalcy bias. Try to recognize in yourself when that comes up and have a pattern to say, wait a minute, I got to question myself. I'm always trying to question my beliefs, right? I go back all the time and try to question my beliefs, because that's how you develop a healthy philosophy of life. Number 2, and I'll recap these at the end: cognitive dissonance. So when 2 opposing ideas meet, right, that creates discomfort in your brain. When 2 opposing ideas meet, creates discomfort in your brain. And what your brain's going to try to do is going to try to close that gap and make them more similar. So usually this is a belief that you've already had established in your life, and then you're exposed to new information that contradicts that very belief. What are you going to do? They seem to oppose each other, so most people will either dismiss it, even though it's logically completely makes sense, they'll dismiss it, or they're going to try to close the gap somehow. Okay? So let's talk about food with this, right? When I first started on fasting, I was coming from a bodybuilding background. Eat a lot of meals, eat a lot of protein, okay? Do that. Now, I went to fasting. I was exposed to new information. Now, I could either hold on to those old beliefs, and if I did that, I would not be able to help nearly as many people as I've been able to help through fasting. Okay, to close the gap, which I did at first. You know, you still carry over some of your principles when you run into this CD, this cognitive dissonance. But then eventually you got to realize, okay, if this is the truth, then discard the other one. I always say, I always reserve the right to change my mind because I'm always learning. What I told you last year, I might not believe right now. It's not because I'm flip-flopping, it's because I'm learning, I'm growing. And you should do the same. So with cognitive dissonance, this is why you get a lot of people in the fitness and nutrition field that are just stuck in completely silly things, right? Like burn calories, cut calories, you're gonna lose weight. Eat a ton of protein, even though it's very acid forming in the body. Fasting is gonna cause starvation mode. Like all these crazy things, right? They can't close the gap. And I'll tell you the one thing, one philosophy that's helped me more than anything as far as that goes in my life is empty your cup. Empty your cup. Constantly empty your cup. Constantly practice emptying your cup. If this is full, you got nothing new that you can put into it. Empty it out every day. Expose your beliefs. Question your beliefs. And really realize that it's okay to change your mind. You reserve that right at all times. Cognitive dissonance nowadays, like a lot of people, right, think the GOVT for short, is always got their best interest in mind. It's always going to take care of them. And then you're living through this reality where it's like, nope, that's not the case at all. And some people still can't let the GOVT out of their mind as far as that's their religion. That's who they worship. And they don't think about it like that consciously, but subconsciously, they've been programmed to obey authority at all costs, whether that's your teacher, or officials and bureaucracy and politics. And then you see what's going on now and just look around the world. All you got to do is dig and look up stuff. I mean, it's crazy and it's coming this way. So now you have an option. Are you going to worship them or are you going to say, wait a minute, no, something's going on here. I got to start making a stand with my family. So that's how it applies nowadays. And the last one I want to talk to you about is the sunk cost fallacy. And I've run into this in business a lot throughout the years. 14 years now. And what that is really, and this could go to beliefs, investments, whatever it is, where you have invested a lot of time, money into a belief, into a certain person, into a certain business. And let's say you're 6 months in, you're a year in, and you just keep going with that. And you've already invested a lot, so your mind is saying, man, I have to, I can't give up now. I put too much into it. It'll turn around, it'll pay off. The reality is, you got to know, even if you waited 6 months too long, the best day to make the decision to move on is now. And that goes for anything in your life. Could be a belief that's not serving you. Could be a itch on my foot. It could be any of that stuff. But the sunk cost fallacy, it's gone. That's how you learn. Don't beat yourself up over it. Cut ties when you realize, okay, I can stay in this position for another 6 months or a year, or I can cut it and learn for the future. And what did you learn? Remember, you only lost if you don't know why you lost. That's what Professor always says in jiu-jitsu. You only lost if you don't know why you lost. So if you know why you lost, you won. Keep that in mind. So those are three things that I think you need to be aware of, and stuff that maybe you should teach your kids because they don't teach people this in school. But you have normalcy bias, you have cognitive dissonance, and you got the sunk cost fallacy. Recognize the patterns with those because they apply to every part of your life. And realize that, okay, this is exposing some areas that maybe I had a blind spot in, and then you can work on improving your outlook or your beliefs or your philosophy. It's all about the philosophy you have in life. That's going to be your North Star. That's going to be your sail, right? You got to develop the perennial philosophy of your life. All right, hopefully that helps, guys. Thanks for tuning in as always. And yeah, we got some good stuff coming up. We got a cornhole tournament at Dual Strength on October 16th for charity. So you'll be seeing stuff about that. and a lot of other good stuff coming up. But hit the like button, leave a comment, or hit the share button. Appreciate your support, guys. Have a great rest of your day. You wrote for today's episode. I appreciate you and your time, truly. I'm humbled and honored if you made it to the end of this episode. Don't forget, you can go to kylenewell.com for your free ebook written by yours truly on getting started with fasting, infused with 5 mind map principles never before seen. This is something I have not given out to anybody else that'll help you see the light when it comes to your fasting journey and creating better health, both physically and internally. Remember, it's all about the mind, body, and spirit. Until next week, peace.